a.m. Central Time, about 20 minutes from now. And the actual release will be performed by Flight Engineer Joe Akaba with Aki Hoshide standing by for help as needed.
And we're seeing it down here as well.
Here on the ground, the team is being led now by the Orbit 2 flight director, David Korth, and he is getting help from Capcom Katie Coleman, who you heard talking with Aki Hoshide just a few moments ago. You can just make out in this view of the HTV-3 on the end of the Canadarm2 in the lower left-hand portion of the screen. Again, that maneuver was performed by the team here on the ground, the robotics officers here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room, and started at 6:50 after Flight Engineer Joe Akaba had finished releasing the 16 bolts that have held the HTV-3 to the Harmony node since it arrived at the International Space Station on July 27th. It actually launched into space from Tanegashima Space Center in Japan on July 28th and carried to the International Space Station 8,000 pounds of supplies. That was broken down into 7,000 pounds of pressurized cargo, including food and clothing.
For now.
Copy. And so you are happy with cameras, Aki? You and Joe?
A firm, we're happy.
Okay, onward. Okay, folks.
As I was saying, the HTV-3 carried to the International Space Station 8,000 pounds of cargo, including 7,000 pressurized cargo. That's food and clothing, as well as an aquatic habitat experiment, a remote-controlled Earth observation camera for environmental studies, a catalytic reactor for the station's water regeneration system, and a Japanese cooling water recirculation pump. And then it also had another 1,000 pounds of unpressurized cargo. It is the only vehicle that can carry unpressurized cargo to the International Space Station at this time. And that cargo is then transferred to the Kibo Laboratories porch or external facility. View here of the flight controllers in Japan at the Tsukuba Space Center. They're, of course, also following along very closely with the activities today, as HTV is their vehicle. And also happened today to get a chance to hear Japanese astronaut Aki Hoshide talk with their prime minister in a 20-minute call in honor of Day of Space in Japan. And that commemorates the 20th anniversary of the launch of the first Japanese astronaut into space on the first Space Lab mission, which was a cooperative venture between U.S. and Japan. Flight Director David Korth just finished up a poll of the flight controllers here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room, checking to be sure that everything was ready for the release of the HTV-3 vehicle, and just got a unanimous go from all the members of the room. That again is scheduled to take place at 10:50 a.m. Central Time. After that, a series of maneuvers and burns are going to move the HTV-3 away from the International Space Station. The first is going to take place at 10:55, and we'll move the vehicle away from the space station at a rate of about 1.13 feet per second. And the second one will follow that at 11:05 Central Time. That one will go a little faster, 0.65 feet per second. And then at 11:17, a third one will move begin moving the orbit of the vehicle down towards the Earth's atmosphere at 3.9 feet per second. The last one for the day will come in just after noon, 12:01 p.m. Central Time, and that will take place after the HTV-3 has made it to a point 6 kilometers away from the station and continue moving it at a rate of 4.3 feet per second. That all is going to get the HTV well away from the International Space Station in time for the actual deorbit maneuvers, which are going to start occurring at 5:48 p.m. Central Time on Thursday, tomorrow. There will be 3 of those. After that, one at 7:20 p.m. and last one at 11:50 p.m. again on Thursday, and then the final one should bring the HTV-3 into contact with the Earth's atmosphere at 12:24 a.m. Central Time, which time it'll begin burning up and provide a good way to get rid of a good deal of trash and used supplies that the space station crew has been filling it with since they finished unpacking it after its July 27th arrival.
Station Houston, I have the abort time tag and windows when you're ready to copy.
Ready?
The abort time tag is 161600. That's 161600.
The abort time tag 161600.
That's correct. And the window, which is recorded then on step 4 of your 1.420, is, as we expected, 1550 to 1554. And so let me make that more clear. It's 1550 to 155400.
Copy 15:50:00 for the open and 15:54:00 for the window close.
That's correct, and we show ourselves about 8 minutes, 30 seconds from release.
Copy.
Capcom Katie Coleman there, going over the upcoming release plan with Flight Engineer Aki Hoshide, who will be backing up Joe Akaba as the actual one to release the vehicle. View of it here through one of the windows on board the International Space Station, the view that the astronauts have of the HTV-3 as they prepare to release it. They've been going over the various camera views and making sure everything is ready. Vehicle is in place thanks to some work done over the past couple hours by the robotics team here on the ground to move it from its docked position on the Harmony node to a point about 40 feet away from the International Space Station on the end of the Canadarm2, as you can see here. At the moment, the space station and the HTV-3 are about 253 miles above the North Pacific Ocean, and heading northeast towards the coast of Washington State, which they'll cross in the next few minutes. Then they'll head across the border of Washington into Canada.
Station on 2 for SSRMS.
Go ahead, Aki, and then we've got a call for you.
Okay, Katie, can we put step 4 in work at this time, which is removing safing and put the brakes off?
Aki, yes, you can. We were just talking about that. We have a short handover here, and then we'll be back to you with a status, which is a good status.
Copy.
Less than 5 minutes away now from the release of the HTV-3. It's coming up at 10:50 a.m. Central Time. The crew has a window of about 4 minutes to get the release done if it doesn't happen right at 10:50, but they expect to be on time at this point, and everything is
HTV.
going well in their preparations for that release.
Station, you are go to release HTV on time, and that's a go to perform steps 5 through 7 in 1.420.
Copy. Go to release HTV on time, step 5 through 7 in 1.420 in work.
momentarily out of range of video downlink from the International Space Station. That's expected, and we should be regaining video in just a second. Less than a minute now until Flight Engineer Joe Acaba will be giving the command to release the H2 transfer vehicle number 3, or the Konatori 3, as it's called. Konatori being a word for white stork that will send it on its journey back to the Earth's atmosphere, where it will be allowed to burn up and wrap up its stay in space. It launched on July 20th from Tanegashima Space Center in Japan. Team here on the ground confirming that the snares on the Canadarm2 are open, which marks the HTV release. That took place as planned at 10:50 a.m. Central Time, as the space station was 253 miles above Canada. You can see here the arm backing away now.
Houston Station on 2, HTV retreat is commanded, and the PT timer has been started. Right now we have a PT of 53, 54, 55, 56.
Houston copies. Nice job.
Flight Engineer Aki Hoshide there, confirming what we could see here on the ground, that HTV-3 has officially been released from the Canada Arm 2, the space station's robotic arm. Again, that took place on time at 10:50 a.m. Central Time, while the space station was 253 miles above Canada. Now begins the task of having the vehicle move away from the International Space Station, slowly at first, and then gaining speed. The first maneuver, which is called an ISS departure maneuver, will be taking place at 10:55, about 3 minutes from now. And that will be thruster firing that will begin moving HTV away from the space station at a rate of just under 8 feet per minute. That'll be followed at 11:05, 10 minutes later, by another ISS departure maneuver, and then at 11:17, the first of the descending maneuvers that will begin dropping the altitude of the HTV-3's orbit will take place, and the second one of those scheduled for just after noon Central Time, 12:01 p.m.
Station Houston, for a status, we see an opening rate of 0.5 down here. We'd like to know what you see up there and also distance from the arm.
Bye. And Katie, the range rate on the nav is about 0.011, and the distance from the arm is like maybe 2 meters.
Copy.
As you can see, the first of those thruster firings to begin moving the HTV-3 away from the International Space Station has taken place. That again will begin moving it away at a rate of just under 8 feet per minute. And then a second one will take place in another 10 minutes at 11:05 p.m. Central Time. That
Concur, we
will
see an
move it a bit faster at about 39 feet per minute.
Aki, any camera tracking you can do for us would be great.
And Houston, HTV is inside on camera 3.
We copy, Aki.
View here provided by the International Space Station crew members. As you heard Aki Hoshide mention, this is a view of the HTV-3 as it moves away from the International Space Station.
Station Houston for HTV, we see a safe trajectory for the abort, and we'll let you know when it's outside the keep-out sphere.
Copy that.
Space station's currently 256 miles above the Gulf of St. Lawrence, above New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, just about to head out over Prince Edward Island and across the Atlantic Ocean. The HTV-3, newly released from the Space Station's Canadarm2, is moving steadily away. It's performed its first firing to begin moving it away from the space station, and a second one is about 7 minutes away now. That'll take place at 11:05, be followed by another at 11:17, and one final for the day at 11:47 a.m. 12:01 p.m. Central Time. By that time, it'll be about 4 miles away from the International Space Station, and that will move it not only away from the space station, but also begin lowering its orbit and getting it into place for its deorbit burns. There are 3 of those, and they're all scheduled to take place Thursday, tomorrow evening, starting at 5:48 p.m. Central Time. They'll wrap up at 11:50 p.m., which should have the HTV-3 experiencing the Earth's atmosphere by 12:24 a.m. Central Time on Friday.
The control room has recovered IOC-1, and we now have good attitude control using the VDE-1 alpha as we planned pre-flight.
Copy that.
The Japanese flight control team in Tsukuba, Japan, confirming that the HTV-3 is continuing to move safely away from the International Space Station, now about 360 meters in front of the station. That's more than 1,000 feet away, and has now, in less than 5 minutes, its second space station space station departure maneuver coming up. That'll be at 11:05 a.m. Central Time, and increase its speed to an additional 39.3 feet per minute.
Station Houston, status.
Ed.
So an ACU abort gives us 1.2 meters per second posigrade abort, and we presently see a good trajectory. It's about 360 feet or more out in front of ISS, more than 100 feet below ISS. Excuse me, I'm using feet, but it's meters. And as soon as we are 200 meters below ISS, which is probably any minute, you will be officially out of the keep-out sphere. The trajectory will be then up and over the ISS and then trailing behind. That won't happen until we're outside the approach ellipsoid, which is a distance of 2 kilometers.
Okay, copy. Thank you very much for that information. And I guess we're out of the departure monitoring queue card.
Yeah, we concur. Thank you, Aki.
Katie, any action on the arm? Right now we're in standby.
Stand by, Aki, and we'll collect ourselves and get back to you.
No problem. We'll be standing by.
Capcom Katie Coleman there, summarizing for the crew the operations with the HTV-3, all going well at this point. The vehicle continuing to move away from the International Space Station, and in less than 10 seconds it will be performing its second of 4 maneuvers that are planned for the day. That'll take place at 11:05 a.m. Central Time, which should be beginning now. And that will put it opening at a rate of 39.3 as it moves away from the space station. 2 more will be planned for the day, one at 11:17 a.m. and then the final one for the day at 12:01 p.m. Central Time, all of which get it in position for its actual deorbit burns, which are scheduled for Thursday evening. The first is going to be taking place at 5:48 p.m. Central Time, a second at 7:20 p.m. Central Time, again on Thursday evening. And the last of the deorbit burns for the HTV-3, or Kounotori 3, will take place at 11:50 p.m. Central Time. That will drop it back into the Earth's atmosphere, where it will burn up and provide a good way for the International Space Station to get rid of some trash and used supplies, in addition, of course, to the service that it provided, bringing a 8,000-pound load of cargo to the International Space Station on July 27th. With that, we'll be wrapping up our HTV-3 release coverage. Again, the release took place on time at 10:50 a.m. Central Time, and it's now moving safely away from the International Space Station. You can stay tuned, however, and at 11:30 a.m. Central Time, we'll be replaying the JAXA VIP call that took place earlier this morning, wherein Flight Engineer Agi Hoshide talked with the Japan Prime Minister Yoshihiko Noda for about 20 minutes in honor of the Day of Space in Japan, which marked the 20th anniversary of the launch of STS-47 on the first Space Lab mission. That mission was a cooperative venture between the U.S. and Japan, and also took into space the first Japanese astronaut. They'll be discussing all of that in the replay of this phone call or event from earlier today. And again, that will be taking place at 11:30 a.m. Central Time, coming up next on NASA TV. This is Mission Control Houston.